You see the haul, you see the hype, you see that irresistible price tag promising a new identity for less than the cost of lunch. This is the glittering, algorithm-powered world of fast fashion, a world that screams at you to stay on trend, buy more, and never look back. It's designed to be addictive, accessible, and endlessly new. But what you're not seeing is the true, horrifying cost. What is the real price of that $5 shirt? The bill isn't paid at the checkout counter. It's as a devastating debt settled by our planet and by the lives of millions of people hidden in the shadows of a murky global supply chain. This isn't just shopping, it's a system with a dark side, and for the next 10 minutes, we're pulling back the curtain to expose the brutal truth behind the tags. Fast fashion is more than just inexpensive clothing. It's a ruthless, high-velocity business model built on replicating catwalk trends and churning them into garments at breakneck speed and minimal cost. Forget 4 seasons a year. These giants now operate on up to 52 micro-seasons, a new collection every single week. A relentless treadmill of consumption. The goal is simple: produce staggering quantities, manufacture a sense of instant gratification and fleeting trends, and fuel a cycle of constant buying. This hyper-acceleration has fundamentally warped our relationship with our wardrobes, transforming clothing from durable goods into disposable entertainment. First, we descend into the environmental apocalypse. The screen fills with the haunting image of a river in Bangladesh, running a sickening, unnatural shade of chemical blue, a toxic vein poisoning the landscape. This is the stain fast fashion leaves on our planet's story, told in polluted water, choking emissions, and literal mountains of waste. The process of dyeing and treating our clothes is one of the world's largest polluters of clean water, with vast quantities of heavy metals and solvents flushed directly into rivers, poisoning ecosystems and the communities that depend on them. It's estimated the industry is responsible for a shocking 20% of global wastewater. Then comes the resource drain, visualized by a stark infographic: a single cotton t-shirt guzzling 2,700 liters of water from crop to closet, enough drinking water for one person for 2.5 years. And it's not just thirsty cotton. Synthetic fabrics like polyester are plastic derived from fossil fuels, making the fashion industry a top contributor to climate change, accounting for about 10% of humanity's carbon footprint. But the most visceral, damning evidence is the landfill. We now produce over 100 billion garments a year, and the result is a grotesque monument to our waste. A garbage truck's worth of clothing is burned or dumped every single second. These vast, smoldering textile mountains and deserts like the Atacama in Chile are the final haunting resting place of our fleeting trends, a colorful graveyard for our disposable identity. But behind every cheap price tag is a human story, and this is where the narrative becomes profoundly somber. To keep costs unimaginably low, this model relies on cheap labor in developing nations where regulations are weak and rights are suppressed. These individuals, predominantly women, toil in cramped, unsafe factories for poverty wages that fall drastically short of a living wage, working 70 to 80-hour weeks under punishing deadlines to feed the Western demand for endless newness. The human cost of this relentless pressure became tragically, undeniably clear on April 24, 2013, when the Rana Plaza factory complex in Bangladesh collapsed, killing over 1,100 people and injuring thousands more in one of the deadliest industrial accidents in history. This was not a random tragedy. It was a direct, predictable result of neglected safety, cracked walls, and the insatiable demand for cheap clothes. Beyond such catastrophic failures, workers face a slow, silent violence. Long-term health devastation from inhaling cotton dust and toxic chemical fumes, a constant painful reminder that the true cost of our clothing is measured in human lives, suffering, and stolen dignity. So how did we, the consumers, become complicit in this cycle? The answer lies in a powerful psychological trap, masterfully engineered by the industry. Fast fashion has hijacked our brain's desire for novelty and social validation, supercharging it with haul culture on platforms like TikTok and Instagram, which normalize and even glorify buying vast quantities of cheap clothing purely for content, creating a vicious cycle of buying, showing, and swiftly discarding. This is compounded by a sinister strategy known as planned obsolescence. Many of these clothes are literally designed to fall apart. With flimsy synthetic fabrics and deliberately weak stitching, they are not made to last. They are made to be replaced, ensuring you perpetually return for the next quick fix. And when a flicker of guilt or awareness arises, brands are ready with a clever smokescreen. They launch token-conscious collections, marketed with earthy tones and green logos, to lull us into a false sense of ethical consumption. But these lines are a mere drop in a toxic ocean, a tiny fraction of their overall massively destructive business model. It's not a solution. It is a calculated marketing tactic designed to placate us while the core machine of exploitation and waste grinds on. Confronted with this reality, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, but this is where we must find our power and our purpose. The most radical and stylish response is to fundamentally change our relationship with clothing. It's a conscious shift from a mindset of quantity to one of quality. Before any purchase, we must ask one simple, transformative question. Will I wear this at least 30 times? We can embrace the unique and the sustainable by championing secondhand markets, organizing clothing swaps with friends, and learning the lost art of caring for and mending the clothes we already own. When we do buy new, we must actively seek out and support brands that champion true transparency and pay their workers a living wage. And finally, we must wield our collective voice, demanding better by asking brands #Who made my clothes, and holding them accountable on every platform. Fashion should be a joyful form of self-expression, not exploitation. Remember, your wallet is your vote. Cast it wisely, with intention and integrity, and together, let's build a wardrobe and a world we can truly be proud of.